All right, my loves, well done. So thanks for being patient. Let's come into our first position, which is going to be a seated position. So if you want to sit kneeling, I'm sitting on my heels, which is a perfectly fine way to sit. But if you want to try what some yoga traditions call Brahmacharya, which I call Virasana, which is the knees are together, the feet are wider apart, and you sink your bottom down in between the heels. If you can't get your bottom all the way to the floor, then put something underneath it, whether that's a rolled up blanket or a brick or something like that. This can be pretty tough for the top of the feet, and it can be tough for the knees. If it affects you in either of those areas, just sit cross-legged instead, or sit in any comfortable, I mean, even your bolster straddled can be quite a nice way to sit in this kneeling position, but without the intensity on the feet or the knees. But by all means, please be comfortable, because you're going to be here for a couple of minutes while we do some breathing exercises, okay? So make yourself as comfortable as you can be, whatever sitting position you have chosen, and it's your practice, so remember that you need to be comfortable and you need to be in that place where you're working, or there's effort involved, but it's not so much that it's going to distract you from your purpose, from your task. And that's being that, it's that moderate, it's everything in moderation, isn't it? So let's have the hands in the lap or on the knees, relax the shoulders, close the eyes, take a nice big breath in through the nose and open the mouth to exhale. Do this again, breathing in through the nose. And as you release the breath on the exhalation, relax the shoulders. Feel yourself sinking into your seat a little bit more securely. One more time, breathing in. And then allowing the breath to travel in and out through the nostrils. Allowing your body weight to sink and settle. So if you need to nestle your sit bones a little bit more comfortably, sometimes it's quite nice to think about the tailbone lengthening out behind you. And you're looking to maintain the natural curves of your spine. I mean that not to bolt upright with your seated position, but nor too relaxed or soft, so that the curve, especially in your lower back, becomes either accentuated or lost. Every exhalation, relax the shoulders a little bit more. And also relax the muscles of the face. Feel the jaw beginning to release. You've been holding tension. All right, so we're going to begin with a little bit of Ujjayi breath. And this is where you narrow the back of the throat passage. And the breath changes its sound. You're still breathing in and out through the nose. And I often suggest to people that if you imagine the place at the bottom of your throat where your collarbones meet, if you imagine that you're breathing in and out through there instead of through the nose, then you begin to cultivate the Ujjayi breath, so the narrowing of the throat and the slight change in the sound of your breathing. The breathing changes its sound because the throat has narrowed, and so the passage that the air is travelling down is smaller. And this helps to slow the breath, allowing you to breathe a little bit more deeply. It is also very calming. The sound of the breath, Ujjayi breathing, is often associated with the sound of the ocean. So imagine that your breath sounds like the waves as they lap gently against the shore. Encourage your breath to move down into the abdomen. And if you need any help with this, rest your hands on your tummy, round about where your navel is, just below your navel. Right. So just for a moment, I'd like you to open your eyes. I'm going to share with you the practice of Kapalabhati breath now. This is something we've not yet done in this platform, in this online yoga. And it's a wonderful breath for warming the abdomen and using the abdominal muscles. And because we're going to be using those later on in tonight's practice, I think it's quite a nice breathing exercise to learn. It can be a bit weird, it can feel a bit weird. You're basically going to contract your tummy muscles and then you release them, but quickly, okay? In and out, in and out, in and out. And so I want you to practice that now. So if you put your hands on your tummy, I want you to practice contracting the tummy in, out, in, out. So it has to happen from quite low down, okay? Not underneath the ribs, but low down into the lower part of the belly, okay? So just have a go, keep going with this. So it's a very much like Uddiyana Bandha. So you've got Mula Bandha, which lifts the pelvic floor, and then Uddiyana Bandha is where you squeeze those tummy muscles that are right down here. This is your transverse abdominal muscle that wraps itself a bit like a corset around your abdomen. So relax for a minute. So this can be quite tiring, especially if you're not used to it and not used to using these muscles so much or kind of focusing on them, okay? The way that the breathing goes is that you take a very big inhalation through the nose, and then I'll just demonstrate it. It's in and out through the nose, and it goes. Okay, so I hope you heard that. I hope you heard the sound of my breath leaving my nostrils. But it's, so you're forcing the breath out with the contraction of your belly, and then the inhalation kind of comes naturally. And you do this for 10 breaths, and then you take a big inhale, big exhale, you do some normal breaths, and then we repeat the breathing twice more. What I would suggest, as my very first yoga teacher, we didn't have yoga mats when I started practicing yoga, but we kind of took a towel or something like that, and it was when I was at university, in a university classroom, and she would hand out the tissue to make sure that we'd all blown our noses before we started the pranayama. So if you have got a little bit of congestion, a little bit of a snotty nose, then make sure that you've blown your nose. This is sometimes related to a sense that you might feel a very cleansed or clear space behind the eyes and around the top of the forehead here. So look out for that if that's the case for you. If it makes you feel breathless or dizzy, lightheaded, please stop and go back to doing some Ujjayi breath. All right, so hopefully you're all ready, and we're going to do this together. Don't worry if you don't get all the way to 10, because sometimes it can be quite tiring. So if you don't quite get to your 10 breaths, don't panic, but we will repeat the cycle 3 times, okay? So you need to have, if you need your hands here, this can sometimes be helpful to remind you that that's where you're working your body, okay? So take a breath in and a breath out. We'll just close the eyes and settle back into some Ujjayi breath. All right, so let's take a big inhalation and off we go. Breathe in, big breath in. Big breath out. A couple of more of these lovely, soft, smooth breaths. And then we will repeat. So breathe in, big breath in, and then 10 exhales. Big breath in, big breath out. All right, one more normal breath, and then we'll do one last round. Okay, so big inhalation, and good. And keep the eyes closed, relax the hands. And notice how you're feeling. It can be really nice for releasing tension around the face, but it also makes you activate these tummy muscles here. All right, good. And then I think we're probably ready to open the eyes and to release the legs. So if you've been kneeling or sitting cross-legged, doesn't matter. Slide the feet out in front of you and sit maybe back onto the hands to give the knees a little bit of a stretch out. Let's flex the ankles and then let's point the toes. Okay, flex the ankles and point the toes. Okay, so Kapalabhati breathing is really nice to incorporate into a pranayama practice. And as you get more accomplished with it, you can increase the number of the breaths that you take. So start off with 10, build it up to 20, build it up to 30. But obviously only do what feels comfortable. Let's do some circles with the toes now. And then change the direction. Good. All right, can you come to sit, please? Let me just slide these things out of the way. I'm going to sit on a block. I want you to sit cross-legged if you can. I have got one foot in front of the other. Okay, I haven't got my ankles crossed over, so I'm not cutting off any of the circulation to my lower legs. And we can change the cross of the ankles in a moment. Can you take your fingertips to the floor next to you? Okay, breathe in and elevate your arms up, extending up through the fingertips. And then exhale, bring the hands down in front of your heart. Good. Lisa, you look lovely in your glowing sunshine. It was like the angels were beaming down onto you. Breathe in. And breathe out. She's just moved out of the sunshine now, so I can see her. One more time, breathing in. Good job, and breathe out. Okay, leave the hands in front of the heart, lace the fingers, turn the palms inside out, press away in front of you with the heel of your hands, and drop your chin towards your chest. Take a lovely big breath in and lift the hands up to the ceiling, pressing up through the heel of the hands. Breathe out, lower the arms, round the back of the upper body, chin towards the chest. Breathe in and lift up. Belly expands if you can for the breath to come in. As you breathe out, contract your tummy in, please. Engage your deeper core abdominal muscles like you did for the Kapalabhati. And then one more time, breathe in, come all the way up, reach up even longer. And then breathe out, draw the tummy muscles in, spread the shoulder blades apart, press the heel of the hands away. And then bring the hands back in towards your heart and release. Good. Let's take a little side bend. So place one hand onto the floor and lean over, let the head drop a little bit, reach to the side. And then float back up, placing that arm down and over to the other side. Leaning gently, let the head drop a little bit, reach along the side, and then come back. Good, one more on each side, please. Good, and back. Last one. All right, so we're going to do one more seated position. We're going to take a twist. So I don't mind which way that you go. You can either leave the hand on the same knee or you can cross the arm over towards the opposite knee. If you do that, I'd encourage you to turn your palm out so that you've got the back of your hand against the outer knee. Then you can have your other arm behind you and turn gently to look over the shoulder. Remember the connection of your sit bones on the ground. Keep them even if you can. Keep the body weight distributed evenly. Breathe in and up the spine and breathe out to deepen your rotation if that's available. Don't force. So remember, everything in Brahmacharya is about being balanced and moderate. And that applies to our posture work. So don't try too hard tonight, but have the balance between making the effort and not making enough effort. All right. Let's breathe in and come back to the center, and then we'll come straight onto the other side. So the hand can cross over if you want, or keep it on the same knee. And think about breathing up the spine on the inhalation and breathing into the rotation a little bit more deeply on the exhalation. And often the breath will be your guide for whether or not you are working to a depth that is where is appropriate for you tonight. If you can't breathe easily, then you're working too hard. So that's not that moderate, balanced aspect to our lives because we're trying too hard. Okay, so take one more inhalation here. And then as you exhale, return back to the center. Place the hands onto the knees, lean forwards just a little bit. Bring the chin towards the chest again. If it feels comfortable for you, you could bring the hands onto the floor, you could walk them forwards and let yourself fall down into a surrendered forward fold closer towards the ground. See how that feels, go to a depth that feels appropriate for you. Take another breath here. Good. And then as you inhale, return back upright. And can you change the cross of your legs if you're sitting cross-legged? And we will fold forwards in the same way. So you could just have the hands onto the knees. You don't need to come deeper than that if you don't want to. Breathe in and up the front body. And as you breathe out, fold forwards and bring the chin towards the chest. So the back of the neck gets this opportunity for length. Imagine drawing the navel in and seeing whether that will help you to tilt the pelvis forwards a little bit more. And if you like, maintaining the sit bones close towards whatever they're seated against, but fold yourself a little bit more deeply if it's available, if you can do this without the force or the strain. Good job. Inhale when you're ready and walk your hands back in towards you. Super stuff. Come over onto your hands and knees, please. All right. So let's start with a couple of cow and cats. So tuck your toes under. Breathe in and lift the sit bones. Let the navel drop. Spin the upper arm bones and look forwards. Keep the upper arm bone spun, so that means the creases of the elbows pointing towards the top of the mat if you can. And let your exhalation guide you into cat. Then when the inhalation comes, toes tuck under again. Find your cow pose, but without forcing the spine into a shape it's not yet ready to go into. Breathing out and rounding the back body, spreading the shoulder blades apart, letting the breath do its work. Breathing in again, one more time. And out. Nice. Okay. Then come back to a neutral position. And can you make sure that you're maybe towards the back of your mat? And I'd like you to really think about tucking your tailbone under and engaging your tummy muscles. And then keeping that happening, so don't lose that shape and that feel, but then walking your hands as far forwards as you can. So you're really using as much of your core strength on the front of your body as you possibly can. Think about the tailbone, keep pointing it towards the heels or towards the knees. Navel draws up, back of the shoulder blades lift to the ceiling as you round, let the head drop a little bit more. And then walk the hands back in and release. Good job. Okay, if you need something underneath your left knee, please take it. I want you to step your right foot to the outside edge of your right hand. When it gets there, do a couple of circles, please, with the right knee. This is just to open into the hip a little bit. All right. Okay, so from here, place the hands back down onto the floor. Leave the left hand where it is. If you need a block underneath it, go for it. And if you need to turn the fingers out slightly to the side, please do. Breathe in and take the right hand up to the ceiling. But keep the arms really light and see whether you can do most of the work from the rib cage. Can you spin a little bit more deeply from the center? Keep the right knee bent and above the ankle. All right, breathe in here. And then breathe out, release. Okay, step the right knee back. Take the foot slightly off of the mat to the side. Place the right hand onto the floor. Slide the left leg straight down to the end of your mat, bringing the inside edge of your foot onto the floor. The left hand is now going to lift to the sky. So breathe in and take the left hand up, and you've turned yourself to the left. So you're into a little bit of a side plank. Then as you exhale, thread the left hand underneath the right arm and reach it across to the side of the room. One more time, bring the hands all the way up to the sky. And as you exhale, thread the hand underneath the right arm, reach it across. Good. Come back, lifting the arm up to the sky. Hold this here, draw the navel in and see if you can float your left leg off of the ground. Keep the ankle flexed, reach the left fingers up to the sky. If you want, you could lower the arm alongside the ear, let the head drop a little bit. See if you can keep maintaining your balance here and the fingers and the heel moving away from each other, opposite directions. Okay, pop the left leg down and lift it back up. Two more of these, lower the leg and lift it up, high as you can. Lower it down, one more time, lift it up high and then lower down. Let's come down onto the left hand, bring the left knee back, take both knees wide apart, big toes together, let the bottom drop onto the heels and lower yourself down into a wide leg child's pose. Okay, so one more lovely breath here while we pause and bring some stillness and some softness back in. Okay, so on an inhalation, can you please float up to an all fours position again? If you like, you can support your right knee or have a blanket going right across the middle of the mat so both knees have got a little bit of extra padding. And then take the left foot to the outside of the left hand and do some circles here. Okay, so whilst it's the left knee that's doing circles, the whole body is moving. Nothing feels locked or stuck in place. Let there be a softness and a fluidity in what you're doing. Good job. Okay, so we're going to stay in this position, knee above the ankle, right palm on the floor if you can, but again, it could be knuckles or fingertips on the floor. It doesn't have to be your hand, and the fingers don't have to point forwards. I like mine turned out slightly to the side, is better for my wrists. Okay, we're going to inhale 3 of these, lifting the arm up and lowering it down. Oh, I've added this bit in. We don't need to do this. We're going to breathe in, bring the arm up to the sky, and instead keep reaching the fingertips high and seeing if you can move the rib cage a little bit more towards the left, a little bit deeper rotation without the arms doing all of the work. See if you can make it come from the middle of your body. Another breath, and then bring the left hand down. Step the left knee back and take the foot out to the side a little bit. Slide the right leg straight down the middle of your mat. Position your left hand somewhere that is comfortable for you. And it's 3 of these ones. So let's breathe in. Right hand comes up to the sky. Look up towards your thumb. And as you exhale, thread the right arm underneath the left, reaching out to the side. Breathe in again. Hand comes up. Breathe out, lower it down. See if you can really twist to the side. And then this time, bring the arm up to the sky. And if you like, engage your tummy muscles. Think about these lower abdominal muscles. Lift the right leg off of the floor. Stay here, or option to let the head lower a little bit and lower the right arm so it's horizontal. So the side of your body is making this really lovely, long, straight edge. Reaching fingertips away from the heel. Keep the ankle flexed. Stay in this position. You could also rest your arm on your side if it makes it a bit easier. But breathe in and then exhale, release the right leg. Keep it straight, but lower it down. Then lift it up as high as you can and lower it down. This is going to work the outer hips, the TFL muscles. Breathe in and lower down. One more time. Breathe in. You've got this. And lower down. Good job. Hand comes to the floor. Knee comes down. Big toes together. Outside edges of the feet parallel and bowing down to the floor. Roll the wrists out if you need to. All right, so another breath here, bringing some softness in. All right, so can you lift up to a kneeling position? We're going to slowly make our way down onto our tummies and do a little bit of back bends to work the muscles on the back of the body now. So we've done quite a lot on the front. So what I want you to do is come into this high kneeling position, but do the same that we did before. We're going to tuck the tailbone under to engage the tummy muscles, and then walk the hands as far forwards towards the top of your mat as you can go, but maintaining a dome shape to the back of your body, as though you're making your spine lovely bridge, lovely arch. Okay, hold this here for another breath, and then gently lower the elbows to the ground. Nice. And then lower the front of the hips to the ground, and you're into Sphinx pose, I hope. Okay, so make sure the legs feel nice and long and the hips feel balanced and even. And it could be that we just stay here and catch our breath and be in this moderate place where we're not working too hard or pushing ourselves too strongly. The back bends that we're going to do are going to get progressively deeper. So I want you to work or stop at a level that works for you. Okay. So the lovely thing about Sphinx is that you can press the forearms into the floor. You're not on your hands. And I want you to think about the back of the neck staying long. So it's not this, not lifting the chin up or looking high up, but just looking along the floor in front of you. So the back of the neck stays in its neutral position. And it might be that this is where you stay. If you want to go a little bit further, I encourage you to come into Cobra. So I want you to bring the hands alongside the rib cage, okay? Elbows in towards the body, and you're continually trying to bring the elbows closer together. Legs along, tops of the feet are on the floor, and I want you to activate your glutes and the back of the legs and really press the tops of the feet down into the floor so that you are using your back muscles to lift you up. And again, you're not looking up too high, just gazing out forward, squeezing the elbows into the side of your body and moving your heart forwards. Good. And then gently come down. Maybe rest, but don't come out of the back bend or don't come off of your tummy. Laying on your tummy is a mild back bend. So I want you to relax your shoulders for a moment. Let the wrists be soft. Okay. So you can either repeat one of the two poses that we have already done, or you could come into Shalabhasana, hands down by your sides, and we're going to lift legs and upper body. So we're going to breathe in and come up. So you could be practicing Cobra again if you wanted to. If you're into a Shalabhasana, fire into the inner thighs this time. Think about the legs becoming really long, lengthening out through the big toe side of the foot. Reaching the fingers back, really getting your back muscles fired up, nice and strong. Taking another breath here, and then gently coming back down. Place the cheek on the mat, relax the arms, and breathe. All right. So again, always lots of variations, but one last back bend, which is going to be upward dog. If you have a couple of bricks, then these are going to be maybe underneath your hands. Now, ordinarily, if we're in a sun salutes, we will practice upward dog with no props under our hands. But the bricks actually make upward dog easier and more accessible, okay? So if you haven't yet got yourself a couple of these, then it would be a wise investment to get yourselves a couple of them. So pop them where, if you've got them, if you haven't, substitute with maybe some thick books, or you could probably use these thinner blocks, but the bricks are stronger, the bricks are denser, aren't they? Or you just don't use anything at all, and that's fine. Okay, so upward dog is the tops of the feet on the floor and the palms on the floor or on the bricks. So you're going to have the bricks fairly wide apart, okay, so you want them as wide as your shoulders are. And you're going to put your hands on the bricks and sweep or scoop the elbows in towards each other behind you. Now I want you to, the tops of the feet are on the floor, so the toes point out and away. Firm the legs, and you're going to lift yourself up like a cobra, and you could just stay here, or you're going to come up high. And so notice that my hips are quite high away from the floor, but I want you to squeeze your bottom, squeeze the back of the legs, and then lift the heart as though you're trying to take it forwards and up. Good. Take another breath here. Very nice. And then pop the knees down and just come back into an all fours position maybe for the moment. Don't come completely into cat pose because you don't want to lose your back bend shape. Okay, so what you might have noticed is that your shoulders were not quite above your wrists. okay? And in an upward dog, you want your shoulders directly above your wrists or even slightly in front of them. So I want you to, if you can, if your wrists have got that strength or the flexibility, then play with that. But if not, don't worry. And if you want to go back to doing one of the previous back bends, you can do that too. Okay, so tops of the feet on the floor. Think about bringing the shoulders forwards. So we've got that really big amount of extension into the wrists, and then pressing the tops of the feet onto the floor, lifting the heart and rolling out the upper arm bones as though you're trying to take the heart in between the arms and forwards. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the back of the thighs, lift the chest, long arms. Good job, everyone. Breathe in and then knees onto the floor. Well done. Sink backwards, round gently, and maybe come to sit kneeling so that you can roll your wrists out. Okay, so they're big poses, aren't they? But they make us use the muscles on the back of our body. And we shouldn't really be afraid of back bends. And we shouldn't really be afraid. If you get a little bit of aching here, just think of it as though, you know, if you were to do lots of bicep curls, you'd get an ache in these muscles, and you're going to get the same, especially if your posture is not so great and these muscles are not being used efficiently enough. So don't be afraid, but obviously remember, you know, your own limitations and what discomfort feels like for you. Okay, so we're not going to use the bricks for just a minute. We're going to come onto all fours and into downward dog. Okay, so find yourself comfy. That's hard. And then taking the toes tucked under, the knees off of the floor, wrap the upper arm bones. So remember, the inner creases of the elbows point forwards. Start to press into the palms. Let the head be in line with the rest of the spine. Lift the tailbone, lift the sit bones. Draw the navel in slightly. Find that lovely downward dog shape. Good. And then let's walk the feet towards the hands. Fold yourself forwards, bending the knees and letting the tummy rest on the top of the thighs. Head hangs, you can hold the opposite elbow and be in a ragdoll or an uttanasana that works for you. That's not you trying too hard. There's always that balance, isn't there? There's always that blend of us wanting to get the benefits of the pose, but not having to try so hard that it causes us to be in pain or to not be able to breathe. All right, so let the chin come a little bit closer towards the chest. Good job. And then slowly roll up with soft knees and come all the way up to stand. Good. And now that we're here, find mountain pose, Tadasana. Tailbone lengthening down, lifting up through the sternum. Chin a little bit into the face. Turn the palms forward slightly, allowing the shoulder blades to slide down the back of your body. Gazing at something that is eye level in front of you. Pressing into the soles of your feet, all four corners of your feet active against the ground. And the crown of the head moving upwards towards the ceiling. And breathing. Never discount the power of being in these poses, no matter how simplistic or easy they appear. We can always search for new depths, for new places to go. Okay. So very gently releasing your Tadasana. Good job. Okay. So I want to explore having the one leg up in front of us and using our body weight to lift that leg. So therefore, if you need something to put your hand onto, a wall or a chair or something like that, then feel free if you're feeling a bit wobbly. And remember this for in a moment when we come down to sit, because it might play a part. Whenever I ask you to lift your leg, for instance, let's try it together. So ground into one foot, don't mind which one, but spread out the ball of the foot and make sure that you feel anchored. And then keeping the other legs nice and straight, I want you to lift that leg up in front of you as high as you can lift it. Good. Now bring it down. Same leg, same position, but this time bend the knee first and then straighten the leg. And notice whether that feels easier. It should be easier to come into. So bend the knee, drop the leg down. Let's do it one more time both ways. So first side, lift it up, straight leg. And you'll notice that should be a lot harder for these thigh muscles. Bring it down. Now bend the knee and straighten the leg. Okay, so you can feel the difference, can't you? It's hard work lifting your legs. Okay, let's do the other side. So spread out the ball of the foot, drag the heel back. Straight leg first of all, so lift it up and bring it down. Now bend the knee and straighten the leg out. Good. Bend the knee, bring it back down. One more on each side. So lift it, oh sorry, on this side. Lift a straight leg, so much harder. And bring it down. And then knee bends, leg out straight. Good. And bring it back down. Very nice. Okay. Stand towards the top of your mat, hands on your hips. Right foot stays where it is. Slide the left foot back. Toes tucked onto the floor. Bend the right knee. Breathe in and bring the hands up towards the ceiling for crescent lunge or balancing warrior. Reaching up through the fingertips. And I want you to firm the glutes, so really use the leg muscles here as much as you can. Good job. Pressing back through the left heel. Lovely. Breathe in, and then lower as you exhale the arms to your hips. Spin the left heel to the floor. Maybe wiggle the right toes a little bit further away. Into warrior two now. So right arm lifts up and points towards the top right hand corner of your mat. Left arm reaches back and points to the back left corner. Look down the fingertips into the distance. Think about externally rotating your thigh bones. So if you could spin your thighs outwards, this will make you use your glutes some more, which will help to strengthen your back. Breathe in and out. Can you find that steadiness and the balance within the simplicity of the pose? Not striving to make it any more difficult than it needs to be, but finding that inner strength and grace to be balanced. Okay, one more breath. And then bring your hands to your hips. Straighten your front leg a little bit, lift up the back heel so that you can step your left foot to the top of the mat. Okay, let's do the other side. So left foot stays where it is, right foot strides back, and wiggle it far enough back so you've got a stretch, but firm the glutes, especially the right one. Breathe in, lift the arms up, find balancing warrior. The gaze is forwards, the fingers lift up, draw the lower abdominals in slightly by tucking the tailbone to point down. Very nice. Breathe in, and then bring hands to the hips. Spin the right heel down. Maybe wiggle the left toes a little bit further forwards. Bend the knee above the ankle. Tailbone points down. Upper thighs externally rotate. Left arm to left corner, right arm to back right. Look down left fingertips, chest open, heart upright, spine upright, and breathe. Lovely. Take another breath. Good job. Hands to hips. Release the bend of the left knee. Lift the right heel so you can stride back up to the top of your mat. Find mountain pose again. Maybe close the eyes this time. Let the breathing settle. Good. All right. So we're going to come back down into a forward fold, and then we're stepping back into downward dog to come back down onto the mat. So maybe have your feet about hips width apart, closer if you have more flexibility in your hamstrings and freedom in your back, in your low back. Bend the knees enough so that you can tilt the pelvis forwards. And remember that it is this movement here at the pelvis that initiates the forward fold. The tummy then can find the top of the thighs easily, and then you can allow your head and the upper part of the spine to hang down towards the floor. Hands can release, they can rest on the legs or on the ground or onto a brick if you need to. And please don't worry about straightening the legs. I want you to think about the tilt of the pelvis. And as you keep tilting the pelvis, do the sit bones lift a little bit higher and a little bit higher of their own accord. Notice what's happening around the knees, and maybe try to lift the quads, the front of the thighs, higher. So you're engaging the front of the thighs, so you activating those muscles in order to lift the sit bones higher and higher and higher. But find the balance, find the ease within the effort. Be able to breathe. Okay. So now placing the hands down, bending the knees enough to allow that to happen, and walk the feet back. Come into a plank pose actually. I know we said we do downward dog. Come into a plank pose, hold that there. So hips in line with the shoulders, spin the upper arm bones, engage the tummy muscles, point the tailbone towards the heels. Good. And then float the knees gently down. Untuck your toes and come to sit. All right. So I said to you, you might want a couple of bricks. And so you're going to have these on the floor. Hopefully you can see these. Okay, I'll sit a bit further back. With ease. Now you could, the more props that you have, the more interesting it will become. And some of you have done this with me before. And basically it's an activity in can you lift your own leg off of the floor, which are notoriously hard, it's notoriously difficult to do. So I've got 3 bricks in front of me, and I'm going to point the toes, I think, for this one. I might put my hands behind me to help, but I'm definitely using my TVA muscle and my back as well to hold me in this position. My fingertips are just going to be here lightly. And I'm going to take one foot. So this is where you could be using your cans of beans. And you're going to take the feet over your little assault course, okay? So see if you can maintain the core and do it a couple of times on the leg. And if you're finding it super easy, lift your supports up higher. Hold it there, see if you can keep going without knocking them over. Good, okay. Finish that leg and then maybe just bring them over to the other side so that we can have a little bit of a play with the other leg. Okay. So, tummy muscles engaged. See if you can do it no hands, taking the foot over the top of your supports. And notice you've really got to get right into these hip flexors here at the top of the thigh to be able to lift the leg up and over. Okay, so now can you alternate? Can you do one leg and then the other, and then one leg and the other, and then go back. Good. One more time. Nice. All right, give your legs a little bit of a shake out. Okay, so the pose, so Brahmacharya pose, is given that name, or given the name, because basically what it wants you to do is to find a lightness within your body so that you can lift away from the floor. And that's what we're trying to cultivate. It's an inner strength that comes from the breath work, and it comes from all the core stuff that we do that makes our poses. It makes you become a little bit lighter in your practice, and that's what you might be experiencing. So I know that one of the lovely feedbacks that you've given me in the Typeform survey is how the regularity of practicing 3 or 4 times a week, and what a difference it's making to how you feel and the things that you're doing as a result. So I think all of that's lovely. So if you have, so basically the pose is this: you are going to take your hands onto either the floor or onto bricks, and I'm going to talk you through this. I'm going to give you lots of suggestions. But basically the pose is this: lifting the legs off of the floor and floating, okay? But it's hard work. Okay, so what I want you to do, first of all, if you just have your hands with no props there whatsoever, can you possibly think about having the hands here, or even the fingertips or the knuckles, and just engaging your tummy muscles to lift your hips, and feel how heavy that is. It's hard work, isn't it? It's really difficult to lift your hips off of the floor. So that's where the bricks, if you haven't got bricks, a couple of books or something like that would be a really good idea. So if you put the bricks there and your hands are alongside your hips, do the same thing. Can you lift up? Does that become easier to do? Some of you are looking like, okay. All right. So now the trick would be, can you lift up and lift one leg? Nice. And come back down. And then the other side, lift up and lift one leg and come down. All right. Now, see if you can have a go at doing both legs. Off you go. I'm going to watch you because I want to see, and then I'm going to give you my little tips for how to make it a bit easier. So have a go. I want to see, can you get your feet, all of your feet off of the floor, bottom and heels? I'm getting either a lot of dirty looks, or a lot of like, what is she making me do this for? Why did I come to class? Okay, now the trick is this: you've got to use these lower abdominal muscles. That goes without saying, because you're trying to lift and to engage, because the essence of the pose is the Brahmacharya energy. So the sexual energy, if you think about your sexual energy, it's on a downward and an out trajectory. And what the yogis believe is that if you can contain that energy and use it wisely and internally, you can reverse it and make it lift you up so that you become lighter and the energy moves up the shushum, up the main channel that the Ida and the Pingala nadis wrap themselves around. So with that in mind, there's a trick for your feet. So if you can imagine that there is a line from your big toe joint all the way along the inside, like the seam of your leggings perhaps, all the way along the inside of your thigh towards your groin and your pelvic floor. So what I want you to do is be in the pose, and I want you to, as though, if you can start off by pointing your toes and try it again, just see whether you can lift up and lift your legs off the floor. I find that quite hard to do that with my toes pointed. So the super trick is if you flex your, extend your toe. So it's as, you know, when we sit with our toes tucked under, it's that. So as though you've got that shape happening. So I hope you can see that. So you've got to do this, but you've got to press out through the big toe joint of your foot, as though there's this imaginary line of energy along the inner thighs. And then bring your hands slightly down the thighs, so they're not in line with the hips, but down the thighs. Point out or press out through the big toe joint, engage the inner thighs and lift. And you might find that you are able to get off of the floor a little bit more easily. So don't point the toes, but extend through the big toe joint and draw the toes towards your shins. Have that happening and find your lift. All right, have a little bit of a play. Are you a bit hot and sweaty now? Everybody's like, oh God. That's that energy that's lifting you up, because we've got so much heat in these big thigh muscles that when we use them like this, we can really cultivate that energy for great purposes. Let's see if you can cross the ankles, lean forwards a little bit, engage the tummy muscles, still have that imaginary line of energy towards your big toes, and see whether you can lift up with the ankles crossed and bring the legs out and bring them back in again. See whether you can have a play with that. She says. The key is really having the bricks. Nice. Well done. Good job. Loving it. All right. Are you suitably worked now? Do you feel like you have been to class? Okay, so let's have a lie down. All right, you can maybe just keep if you've got bricks, have them to one side. We might use them. But what I would suggest initially is that you come to lay down and maybe hug your knees in towards your chest. And we do this to make sure that we feel nice and relaxed, and we've softened the spine and relaxed the shoulders, because there's an awful lot going on there, an awful lot of things combined that make it a real challenge. Something that looks so simple but can be so deceptively difficult. Okay. All right, so let's pop the feet back down onto the mat. Have the hands down by your sides. Walk your heels in towards your bottom, and we will do some bridge pose. So think about lifting on the inhalation, and as you come up, squeeze the glutes, stretch out the front of the hips and the tummy, and then breathe out to come back down. And can you do about 5 or 6 of these? So breathing in, strong back of the legs, lifting, lengthening, and breathing out to come down. Keep going, breathing in and out. All right. Do one more. And then when you've finished, cross one leg over the front of the other thigh and lift the foot up off of the floor to come into a reclined pigeon or pretzel pose. And you can hold the back of the thigh, or you could reach for the shin and maybe draw the knee closer in towards you so you stretch out the glutes a little bit. All right, take another breath or two. Okay, and then let's lower the foot down, keep the legs in the same shape, and then we'll come into a twist. So we're going to whatever foot you've got crossed over, bring that sole of the foot down to the floor on the opposite side, And maybe release the arms, turn the head in the opposite direction, and lay in a twist, maybe feeling this stretching out the outer hip. If you need more stretch, you could bring the bottom leg a little bit closer in towards you, or you could put your hand on your knee that's pointing towards the ceiling and gently lengthen, press the knee away slightly, and you might feel a little bit more engagement in the muscles around the hips. Okay, take another breath or two. Good. And then come back up to the center and change the legs over, crossing the other foot, bringing the knee in, holding onto the thigh or the shin, and scooping the leg in towards you. The closer it comes towards your torso, the more stretch you're going to feel. If your tailbone has really curled away from the floor, then you might want to think about lengthening it so that the sacrum and the tailbone come closer and flatter towards the ground, but maintain the same intensity of the stretch. So you're finding little ways to create balance and moderation, still getting the benefit of the pose, but maybe without striving so hard to be there. Okay. And then releasing, the foot comes back down to the floor, and then rolling the knee across to the other side, or rolling the foot down to the floor. So the sole of the foot goes flat, the knee points up to the ceiling. You can release the arms, turn the gaze in the opposite side. Remember, if you want more of a stretch, you bring your legs a little bit closer towards you, or you can put your hand on your knee and gently press the knee away. Let's gently bring the legs back in and up to the center. Hug the knees in towards your chest again. Have a little rock across the side of your body. Make sure that you're going to be warm and comfortable. Have whatever you need to hand. So if you want a pillow or an eye pillow or a blanket, grab what you need. Send your heels down to the corners of your mat. Let your arms release down by your sides and turn your palms to face the ceiling, letting the fingers curl lightly. And allowing the back of your body to sink and settle, finding a position that can be comfortable and full of ease. And so now we get to balance the effort of our practice within the rest of Shavasana. And so we offer this time to ourselves as a gift. As a way to keep the balance and the harmony within ourselves. To let the mind become quiet. Pay attention to the breath, becoming a little bit longer, not striving too hard to change your breath. Shoulders releasing away from the ears, and your jaw slackening, facial muscles releasing. The back of your body becoming heavier, more closely connected, sunken into your mat. I'm going to share with you a poem from the collection called Benedictus. It's called A Book of Blessings by John O'Donoghue. I read one to you a few weeks ago. And this is blessings for the time of necessary decision. And I think this reached out to me anyway to this week, so I thought I'd share it with you. The mind of time is hard to read. We can never predict what it will bring, nor even from all that is already gone can we say what form it finally takes. The time gathers its moments secretly. Often we only know it's time to change when a force has built inside the heart that leaves us uneasy as we were. Perhaps the work we do has lost its soul, or the love where we once belonged calls nothing alive in us anymore. We drift through this grey, increasing nowhere, until we stand before a threshold we know we have to cross to come alive once more. May we have the courage to take the step into the unknown that beckons us. Trust that a richer life awaits us there, that we will lose nothing but what has already died. Feel the deeper knowing in us, sure of all that is about to be born beyond the pale frames where we stayed confined, not realising how such vacant endurance was bleaching our soul's desire. Okay, so I'd like you to bring your awareness back into this room. And allow your breath to begin to deepen inviting some movement to the extremities. Find yourself releasing, exploring, waking up, stretching out. Lovely. Maybe think about bringing the knees in towards you, rolling over gently to one side. Taking as much time as you need. Maybe another big breath before you bring yourself up to sitting. Lovely. So come to sit, please, in any comfortable seated position. But find that balance and that sense that there is a conscious uplift of your energy, that you are kind of containing and therefore going to use it in a way that best serves you. Think about taking your fingertips to the floor, breathing in and scooping all the energy from within the room to bring it to your palms and then ease it down. So you're containing it all within yourself, just for this little bit of time. Close your eyes and let your head fall forward slightly, shoulders relaxed. Gazing softly either into the heart or into the center of your palms. Taking a few breaths in and out. So in practice tonight, we've been thinking about the Brahmacharya, this way of living, way of conducting ourselves. The Yoga Sutras say that devoting our lives to a balanced and moderate one is the scope of one's life force. And when we do that, we become boundless. There is no limits because we have used our energy appropriately. Take another breath in, opening your eyes. Well done. Namaste. Good job, everyone. Super good effort tonight. Well done.